Hey, welcome back to the series that we've been doing on Red's Taylor's version. If you watched my last video, you know that we did just finish All Too Well 10-minute version, which is the last song on the album. But if you did watch that video, I did mention that I was planning on doing one more Red Taylor's version related video because I'm going to be doing one of the tier rankings just to kind of give my favorite songs. And then another idea I had that would be fun is I'm going to make my own Red's Taylor's version and choose songs that should have been on the original as opposed to the others. So you'll kind of see later on the video, but for right now, we'll just kind of start off with the regular Red tier ranking. So let's just get started. So I'm just going to use the standard grading scale that they have. S is like a perfect song. A is a really great song. B is a good song. C is like okay, probably skippable. And then D is just like, I don't want to listen to that at all. So that's kind of the basis that we're going to use, and we're going to go in the order of the tracks. Starting off with State of Grace, my instinct wants to put that in A tier. I'm not sure if it's quite S for me, but I feel like it's at least A. So I'm going to put it there, but I also am reserving the right to move these around once I've added other songs into it, so these all could be subject to change. Next up would be Red, the song, and that was actually one of my favorite songs from the album, so I'm gonna put that in S tier for right now. I really liked the guitar in that song, and I really liked how upbeat it was, so that was definitely... So I feel like that definitely deserves the S tier for me. Track 3 is Treacherous, and I'm not gonna lie, it's almost a little bit forgettable to me. I don't remember all that much about it. I remember liking it in the moment, and it did talk about slope, because it reminded me of math a little bit for some random reason. Just because it's not super deep into my memory, I'm gonna put it at a C for right now. I Knew You Were Trouble is kind of a classic song, I feel like. It was very popular in its time. The production, I think, is a little bit dated for 2023, but the intention was to be a big song back in 2012, so I will give it its credit, and I'll say that's at least a B. It might be better than B, but I'm going to put it in B for right now. All Too Well and the 10-minute version are going to go straight to the top. There's no other place where they belong, so we don't even need to have that conversation. 22 is kind of in the middle for me because it has such a significance on pop culture today, but it's also just not a song that I go back to listen to other than when you're actually turning 22. So that's kind of why I'm putting it in B tier for right now. I Almost Do. I feel like it's unpopular, but I really liked I Almost Do. So I'm going to put that in A tier, to be honest. And I feel like no one's going to agree with me on that, but I stand by it. We Are Never Getting Back Together feels like A tier for me because it was her transition into like pop music. So it was really a foundation for her. So I want to give its credit there. But then also I did listen to the rock version and I saw how versatile it was. So I feel like just because it's able to change with modern day, I think it deserves at least A tier. So I'm forgetting the order of the tracks. I think what was next is Stay, Stay, Stay. So you might notice this is a little bit out of order, but it kind of really doesn't matter. Stay, Stay, Stay. Sorry, that's D tier. I think that might be one of the only songs in this tier, but it deserves to be there. Holy Ground, that is completely S tier. I think that was a great song. Sad, Beautiful, Tragic on its own is a good song to me, but after hearing The Moment I Knew, I felt like they were two very similar tracks, and I think The Moment I Knew was better. So I'm gonna put Sad, Beautiful, Tragic in B tier for right now. I think The Last Time Walked So Exile Could Run, so that's gonna go A tier for me. The Lucky One is kind of another middle of the road song for me because I thought it was a good song in its moment, but in comparison to all the other tracks that are on this album, I think it falls a little bit lower on the scale. So I'm thinking B or C. I might put it in C, but it could be B-worthy later. Everything Has Changed is better than Run to me, so I know it's going to be higher than Run, but it's still kind of another middle-of-the-road song for me, so I'm going to put that one in B tier, I think. If you watched my video on Starlight, that song very much confused me, but you guys had my back and kind of told me what it was about and how it had connections to the Kennedys, and I love history, and even in that video, I just made it about a baby boom, so just because of the subject matter, I feel like it deserves to be like an A for me. Is it really accurate to the song? I don't know, but I enjoyed it when I made that video, so it's gonna go to A, I think, but that's debatable. You guys actually didn't see a Girl at Home video, and I feel bad about it because I did record a video, but it got super corrupted and nothing would work. And then after listening to the song, and trying to refilm it as if I didn't felt weird. So then I didn't really want to make it. So I guess it's a product of me being a little bit lazy. But what you kind of missed from The Girl at Home is I didn't really like the song. I didn't realize there was two different versions also when I made the video the first time. So I did listen to both versions off camera. I kind of think the original version is better, but maybe I'm like the minority here. But either way, I wasn't a super big fan of the song, so I'm going to put that in D tier, I think. Sorry. Begin Again is a great song. I genuinely enjoyed that song, so I feel like that one deserves, I think, S tier, honestly. So I did mention a little while ago about how I thought The Moment I Knew was better than Sad, Beautiful, Tragic, but I also don't think The Moment I Knew is an A tier song. So I think I'm going to put The Moment I Knew in B tier and then bump Sad, Beautiful, Tragic to C. That feels right, I think. Come Back Be Here was a good song as well. Is it A tier? I'm kind of debating on Come Back Be Here. It kind of feels like a B tier song, but it also could be A. And I'm kind of being a little bit picky because I really liked a lot of the Vault songs, and I know a lot of those are going to be an A tier for me. So I'm going to put Come Back Be Here in B for right now. Now we're actually getting into the Vault songs. So first up, Better Man is S tier for sure. I feel like there's really no debating that song. It's a great song, and I really liked how many versions she had of it. I listened to her version, the Little Big Town version. It just had a lot going on for it, and I really enjoyed it. Babe is a very similar song to me to Better Man, but Better Man did it so much better. So I think the highest that Babe could be for me is like A tier, but it's questionable to B tier, honestly. Nothing New wasn't really that exciting to me, but it did have a pretty cool topic that I like that she addressed. So I feel like that does make it at least A tier, I think. But that kind of makes me think that Babe should be B tier then, if Nothing New is A. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a minute. Moving on, Message in a Bottle is definitely a B tier song. It was a really fun and simple song, but I don't think that made it S or A tier, especially because I feel like there were other upbeat songs that did it better to me, like The Very First Night. I thought that one was a lot better than Message in a Bottle, so it's kind of why I'm putting this one in B tier. Forever Winter, I don't care what anyone says, that is 100% an S tier song. No doubt about it. The Very First Night, I think, is an A tier song. I don't really have a super deep reason as to why I think that's an A tier song. I just thought it was really fun. Run, I think, is C tier for me. It's something that I think I would skip on a regular basis if it came on. I Bet You Think About Me is so close to S tier that it might just have to be S tier. So I think I'm going to put that one in S tier. And then all that's left is Ronin, but I'm clearly not going to put that in any type of ranking that doesn't feel right. So we're just going to kind of leave it at that. But now I'm going to look at them real quick just to make sure that I kind of agree with what I did in the moment. Red, All Too Well, Holy Ground, Begin Again, Better Man, Forever Winter, I Bet You Think About Me. Great songs. I think they all deserve that S tier. I feel pretty confident in that. State of Grace could be S tier, and I really am considering it. I Almost Do doesn't deserve to jump higher than what it is. We Are Never Getting Back Together doesn't deserve to go any higher. The Last Time is really good, and I think it was a stepping stone into Exile, but I don't think it's Exile worthy to be that high. So I think it's where it's at is a good spot. Starlight, I'm not sure if it deserves its spot. I liked it just because of like the history connection, but as a song, was it A tier? But was it A tier in comparison to other things that are in the B tier? I don't know. Babe, I think, deserves that A spot. Nothing New, I think, deserves that A spot. The Very First Night does as well. B tier, I Knew You Were Trouble, that feels right. 22 feels right. Everything Has Changed. Moment I Knew. Come Back Be Here. Message in a Bottle. I think I might have to move Starlight back to the B tier, and then Come Back Be Here might have to be A tier. I might regret that decision, but I think that makes sense right now. The thing I'm having the most trouble with is the C tier. I think Run deserves the C tier, but the other ones are just good songs. It just wasn't my favorite. I'm treating C as a skip, and I would skip Run. I would also probably skip Sad, Beautiful, Tragic just because it's too slow in my opinion. The Lucky One, though, I think could be B tier. I think Treacherous is more of a B tier song. This is honestly a lot harder than I thought it would be. So I feel like if I keep looking at it, I'm going to keep changing it. So I think I'm going to lock in this as my definitive ranking. I feel like you guys are going to tell me how wrong I am with this ranking, so I'm prepared to defend it, I guess, because I feel like y'all have better opinions than I do, but this is kind of where I'm going to keep it for right now. Tell me what you think. Tell me how insane I am for it, but tell me your thoughts on that. But I really want to know what songs you would move out of the stuff that I just put down. So for the second half of the video, what I'm going to do is imagine a perfect world where I got to pick the tracks that go onto Red's Taylor's version. I have all the content available to me, including the vault, and then I'm going to go track by track to see if it should have stayed or if I would have replaced it with something else. And then I'll put it on the screen at the very end, but we'll go track by track. State of Grace, I think, should stay on the album. I think it's a great opener. If it moved at all, I would maybe make Red the song, the title track, as the first song on the album, but I think State of Grace is a good introduction. So I would keep State of Grace on the regular edition of this album. Red, I would definitely keep on the album. It's the title track, and it is such an encapsulation of what this album is about to me, so I definitely think that deserves to stay. Rogers is an interesting one because I enjoy the song, but is there a vault song that could have been better on this album to put it in there? As of right now, I think I'll let it stay, but I might go back and change that. I Knew You Were Trouble, classic, it's a hit, deserves to stay. All Too Well deserves to be there, but I would just replace it with the 10-minute version, obviously. I kind of played with the idea of making the 10-minute version the last song on the album like it is on Taylor's version, but you guys did tell me that track 5 is always the most emotional song, so I feel like I would let it stay. I would just put it as the 10-minute version. 22, I don't think is a great song, but I think it needs to stay because it kind of has that connection to her 21st birthday, and it's just a very popular song in pop culture, so I think that also deserves to stay. I Almost Do could arguably be kicked off, but I like that song personally, so I would keep it on the album. Same thing with We Are Never Getting Back Together, that obviously deserves to stay. That was her big moment in her career, so I don't think I would change anything about that. Track 9, Stay, 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 that's definitely getting replaced by something else. If we want to keep it as a happy song, I think I would replace it with The Very First Night. So that would be kind of the first major change I would make. The Last Time is a good song, and I said earlier that it walked for Exile to run, but I think she still would have made Exile without making The Last Time, so I'm thinking that I would cut it just because there's better songs to put on this album. If we're going collaboration for collaboration, I think I would put Nothing New in the place of The Last Time. I know that replacement changes it thematically, but I think it's a worthy change because we have a lot of those heartbreak songs, and I think this is another emotion that could be connected to Red feelings that maybe doesn't get addressed with like anger or jealousy, and I think that would be a really cool dynamic to have with the color red. So I do think I would kick off The Last Time. We're definitely keeping Holy Ground. I think I would replace Sad, Beautiful, Tragic with The Moment I Knew. I kind of mentioned that in the tier ranking already as to why I would do that, so I would definitely do that. So I know I just replaced The Last Time with Nothing New, but I actually think I would go back and change that and make Nothing New as the replacement for The Lucky One. I feel like those subject matters kind of tie in with each other a little bit. One's about escaping the public eye and one's about not being ready for it. So I think you can have that one song that kind of addresses those types of feelings. And I think I like Nothing New better with that. So scratch that. I'll go back and fix The Last Time with something like I Bet You Think About Me, just because I think it's a fun song that should be included in the album. Track 14 I would also change, and I think I would put Better Man in its place, just because that song deserves to be on the album some sort of way. I don't really have a reason as to why I would replace it with Everything Has Changed, but we're running out of slots, and I think it deserves to be there. I think Starlight's a cool concept, but it doesn't really add anything to her experiences in this album, and I feel like this is a very personal album to her. So I think the last track I would replace it with is Forever Winter, just because it is so emotional, and I think it's a really valid feeling to also have. And I think this album is all about exploring emotions, so I definitely want to put that on the album. And finally, with track 16, I would not change anything about that. I would keep Begin Again. I feel like it's a perfect ending to this album, so I definitely wouldn't want to change that at all. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to call me unhinged for this anyway, so tell me what you think about this and tell me how wrong I am about that, or maybe what you would change about the album and like what you maybe would have subbed in if you had this opportunity as well. So if you're interested, put it in the comment section and we can like compare our versions. I think that would really be fun to do. So if you're interested in that, definitely do it. But that's about it. Thank you for watching. As always, I really, really appreciate you guys being here and just listening to anything I have to say. I'm still appalled by that every single day, and I'm so thankful for it. Also, I want to leave the video off with just kind of mentioning what series we're going to be doing next. About a week ago, I did put up a poll as to what you guys wanted to hear next. It was competing with Reputation, Evermore, 1989, and Lover. It's on day 6 of the poll, and I was going to give it 7 days. That way, everyone had a chance to vote. Currently, it has 100 votes, and Evermore is pulling ahead with 44%, with Reputation just a little bit behind with 34%. So I will honor whatever the poll says. So I'm thinking that we're going to be moving into Evermore very soon. If you want something different and you haven't voted yet, feel free to go to my community tab and put in your vote. I'm going to give it until tomorrow, and I will just honor whatever that says. So as of right now, it will be Evermore. Just because it's so close, I figured no matter what happens, if it is Evermore, I'm going to do Reputation right after it because a lot of you guys really want me to do Reputation. But thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.